I now have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker this morning, one of the founders of the Great Lakes Carbon Collaborative, Eunice Heath from Dow Inc. Eunice is a corporate director for sustainability for Dow Inc., has an incredible amount of experience when it comes to carbon strategies, but also as we think about water. It's my pleasure to introduce Eunice, who's going to give us some overarching remarks to really set the scene and the context for today. Eunice, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you, Claude. Mark, can you hear me okay?
Can hear you fine.
All right, fantastic. Well, good morning, good afternoon to all of you that have joined us today for this collaborative launch event. Thank you to the U.S. Business Council for Sustainable Development and the Council of the Great Lakes Region, really for this opportunity to serve as your keynote speaker today. This collaborative is a great example of what it takes to address solutions for climate protection, circularity, smart infrastructure, and valuing ecosystem services. For those engaged, relationships and opportunities will arise across the industry sectors, customers, suppliers, and across the value chains. These relationships will create new business opportunities and solutions to reduce carbon emissions across the Great Lakes economy. I'm looking forward to hearing the outcomes of the great sessions that you'll have today and the working groups that will be established for the collaborative to address solutions such as electrification, low emission generation technology, carbon capture, use and storage, and nature-based solutions. Quite simply, when I look at your agenda today, you are speaking my language, and I'm very excited about the journey yet ahead. For those of you not familiar with my company, Dow is a materials science company, and we're based in Midland, Michigan. I've been in Dow for 30 years, and I started my career in the Great Lakes Bay region. I've got some very fond memories of Petoskey and Tawas, just to travel throughout this great state and the region. Next year, we will celebrate 125 years as an enterprise. 3 weeks ago, we shared our transition journey to net zero at the New York Stock Exchange with many of our investors and stakeholders. Our executives reviewed our decarbonization strategy and our growth strategy at the same time. So let me share a bit of our journey with you today. Hopefully it will encourage you, it'll inspire you, and we'll make some further connections with regards to the collaborative. At Dow, sustainability is quite simply designing with the future in mind. To build the future for tomorrow must start today. Future generations depend on the decisions, partnerships, investments, innovations, and policies that we set in this generation. For me, many times, just the thought of what I have accountability to do in Dow is daunting. But all I have to do is look at my children and know that I have one of the most important jobs today, more than ever in my 30 years in industry. Sustainability is one of the 4 pillars of our ambition. Dow's ambition is to become the most innovative, customer-centric, inclusive, and sustainable materials company in the world. At the intersection of those 4 pillars, innovation, customer centricity, inclusion, and sustainability is where we activate our purpose to deliver a sustainable future for the world through our materials science expertise and collaboration with our partners. To design with future in mind more sustainably really requires collaboration like never before. And our strategy is a great example. So let me frame this a little bit for you. At Dow, we're addressing a number of different global trends with our collaborations and our technology. So climate change and resource scarcity, middle class growth, digital transformation, and urbanization. So by 2050, greenhouse gas emissions driven by energy demand in emerging economies will increase by 50%. The amount of food needed to feed 9.7 billion people will increase by 60%. The middle class growth will be expected to reach 5.5 billion people by 2030. And between 2020 and 2023, the estimation of digital transformation investment is around $6.8 trillion worldwide. And then urbanization, by 2045, the world's urban population will increase by 1.5 times to 6 billion people. Our cities around the world will face systemic urban challenges in post-COVID society. We're channeling Dow's material science expertise as we collaborate with our customers and many different partners to innovate and create solutions that positively impact the world. So let me give you a few examples. So we have 4 marketing verticals within Dow: packaging, infrastructure, consumer, and mobility. For the packaging sector, we're providing solutions to keep foods fresher, longer, and deliver high-performing, durable, lighter weight, and recyclable packaging. We'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about circularity. On the infrastructure side, enabling energy, efficiency, circularity, and durability, in building construction appliances, adhesives, lubricants, and wire and cable. On the consumer side, meeting consumers' needs for innovative, convenient, and more sustainable home and personal care solutions. And on the mobility side, delivering solutions for lighter weight, longer range, comfort, safety, and lower carbon footprint for vehicles that are connected, autonomous, shared, as well as electric. Across Dow, we're well positioned for profitable growth today and for many decades to come. Our portfolio is a consumer-led portfolio, benefits from the recent behavior trends, as we've seen today in the pandemic around food and consumer packaging, do-it-yourself types of products, coatings, home and hygiene care, as well as durable goods. The mega trends I shared with you earlier support higher margin growth opportunities for the future. We have technologies that go into clean and renewable energy, post-consumer recycled products, electric, hybrid, and autonomous vehicles, as well as the 5G broadband network. So for Dow, when we think about designing with the future in mind, our sustainability journey began many years ago. But formally, about 3 decades ago, when we launched our 2005 Environment, Health, and Safety goals, focused on inside our fence line, our footprint. So reducing costs, waste, and risk, key elements of the 2005 goals that we had set. We reduced $1.6 billion 1.6 billion pounds of solid waste, and we improved employee safety, injury, and illness rate by 84%. We also saved 900 trillion BTUs of energy. When we fast forward to 2015 sustainability goals, and this set of 10-year goals, we were focused on accelerating and advancing innovation. Now, innovation has always been a cornerstone of Dow, really in the fabric of who we are. But we had to take a relook at how do we design products? We need to redesign, we need to rethink our products, our processes, in partnership with our customers. And this is where we called our handprint. And so at that time, in 2015, 25% of our sales, so about $12 billion, were from products highly advantaged by sustainable chemistry. Then we marched forward and said, okay, well, what does 2025 look like? And what do we need to do differently? And that's where we introduced 7 new goals that are now our Dow 2025 goals. And this is where we're focused on blueprint thinking, rethinking business models, and how do we collaborate differently to grow impact. We introduced in this set of goals focused on valuing nature solutions, as well as circular economy. And for valuing nature, as of our last year's ESG report, we're well over halfway to our value nature goal of 1 billion NPV of business value based upon nature-based solutions. This year, we celebrate 10-year partnership with the Nature Conservancy as we built nature-based solutions into our decision-making process for ecosystem services around our operations and as we partner with others, as just an example. We've also identified greater than 100 circular economy projects to date across the company. But we've also launched some new lofty targets with regards to circularity, which I'll share with you in just a moment. So it's about collaborating, rethinking business models, providing blueprints on water stewardship, water management, and we've done that so far in our journey. Now, in 2019, when we transitioned from Dow DuPont and became Dow Inc., we had to take a relook again at how our sustainability leadership is going to help us to ensure that we're driving and delivering to our ambition and our purpose. So to accelerate our sustainability actions, we said we needed to tackle some critical challenges. So we honed in on circular economy, climate protection, and safer materials. And then last year, we introduced targets specifically aligned to carbon reduction and the elimination of plastic waste. And so I'm going to dive into that a bit here in a moment. So in protecting the climate, we said that by 2030, we'll reduce our net annual carbon emissions by 5 million metric tons and drive to zero by 2050. This is a multi-pronged approach in terms of addressing climate protection, in which I'll dive into. For Stop the Waste, Close the Loop, so our circularity targets we launched. By 2030, Dow will stop the waste by enabling 1 million metric tons of plastic to be collected, reused, or recycled through our direct actions and our partnerships. Close the Loop, by 2035, we'll close the loop by enabling 100% of Dow products to be sold into packaging applications to be reusable or recyclable. So we'll talk about what all of that really looks like and what does it entail. On the carbon neutrality side, by 2050, the action plan is quite complex and vast. And we shared quite a bit of it in our roadmap to zero in New York 3 weeks ago. But it encompasses optimizing our facilities and processes, increasing renewables in our purchase power mix, evaluating investments in carbon capture, usage, and storage, developing low carbon technologies for emission reductions, and deploying materials to help reduce emissions for customers and industries. This is partnership and collaboration like never before. And so let me just give you an example of what does that really look like. So you heard from Claude that been a part of the Gulf Coast Carbon Collaborative, and now with the Great Lakes Carbon Collaborative, we get a chance to really address our operations on both ends of the spectrum. Our clear path to zero carbon emissions is a phased strategy to decarbonize and grow. We're going to replace end-of-life capacity with higher efficiency CapEx and OpEx assets while lowering our emissions. And that's Texas 9. Texas 9 is one of our foundational assets, and we'll talk about that. Capture value uplift from increasing demand for low carbon footprint and sustainable products. And then we'll scale carbon efficient economical technologies, including FCDH and EDH, and electrification cracking as well. So for Texas 9, it's one of our world-class performance. It has world-class performance in terms of emissions reduction as well as conversion costs. And it serves as a foundation for our path to 2030. Best-in-class execution, capital efficiency and reliability, top quartile cash costs on a global basis. And our next steps to reduce carbon emissions by additional 5 million metric tons per annum and capture attractive growth requires a procurement of more renewable energy at multiple sites. So when we first launched our Dow 2025 goals, we said that renewable energy we would acquire around, our target was 450 megawatts. We are now at over 800 megawatts. Renewable energy is increasingly becoming a part of our energy portfolio. Modernize our Louisiana operations energy assets, complete the US Gulf Coast flare recovery projects, as well as advance Brazil silicone feedstock capabilities. These are all going to be required to address the 5 million metric ton reduction. In addition, pursuing Terneuzen, Netherlands, our site that has a multi-generation plan based on economic viability as well as government support. And then we will enable an additional $700 million to $1.2 billion of earnings growth by 2030 from an expanded capacity in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, while taking that whole site to net zero carbon emissions reduction. In addition, there are public policies that are critical to a zero carbon emissions path. Technologies that are ready to scale with supportive policy for circular blue hydrogen, carbon capture, utilization and storage, and modular nuclear energy. Next generation technologies are also in development around electric steam crackers and advanced recycling and advanced batteries. In order to advance industry climate progress, we must adopt transparent, revenue neutral, market-based carbon price signals. Government incentives de-risk in development and accelerate adoption of low to zero emissions technologies and solutions. And we also need a simple, credible framework for measuring and reducing Scope 3 emissions. Smart policies that incentivize investment can help energy-intensive industries advance carbon neutrality by 2050. So let me switch over for a moment to circularity. And this too is a very complex roadmap. For Stop the Waste and Close the Loop for Dow, it requires collaboration. So we're a founding member of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, partner with regards to Circulate Capital and Close the Loop partners. Collaboration to drive innovation and action as we integrate recycled and bio-based feedstocks, find new applications that can handle post-consumer recycled waste, but still perform in application. As we partner with our customers up and down the value chain to design for recyclability, to innovate new products with post-consumer material, and as we advance technologies to return waste plastics into the value chain. It's around innovation, collaboration, and it's partnership. So when we take a look at our polymer portfolio, we like to call it polymer with purpose, as we focus on capturing value in the packaging area. We're addressing low carbon solutions, circular solutions, and solutions that enable societal value. The low carbon footprint in circular and renewable materials, they capture differentiated pricing across our markets. For well-being, we have technologies that are bio-based footwear made with Equilibrium as an example, one of our resin technologies. 100% recycled polyethylene package made with Innate, another one of our technologies. And reduced food waste, which enables a healthier living with Affinity, another one of our polymers. On the industrial efficiency side, we're addressing higher performance products with less material, or pharma durables with recycled content, or increased food yield with technologies in our portfolio. To enable the energy transition, we have technologies like Engage and Endurance. And as we pave the roads around the world with post-consumer recycled materials that is utilizing Elovoy. And then clean water access with a technology called Continuum. We have a suite of technologies that is addressing the mega trends and the challenges that the world has today for tomorrow. The UN Sustainable Development Goal of Zero Hunger accelerates demand growth for polyethylene-based food packaging. But we're also increasing licensing opportunities for low carbon emitting technologies so that we too can help enable multiple industries to decarbonize. We're uniquely delivering circularity while lowering value chain carbon emissions through our mechanical advanced recycling, to enabling fully recycled packaging, to incorporating bio-based feedstocks, as I shared earlier, as well as decarbonization of our assets. It is a comprehensive approach to reducing carbon footprint and increasing circularity, which opens up markets, which opens up attractive growth and opportunity across Dow. Our recycling commitments have become really an earnings growth reality. Yes, there are challenges, but there's also opportunity. We're collaborating and securing commitments with value chain to pay, advocate, and co-invest in circular technologies and products. Certain partners like Mura or Avantgarde or Phoenix, and certain customers like Boomera as just examples. We have a clear path to decarbonization and a clear path to stop the waste as well. So when we shared in our Investor Day event, we shared our purpose-built portfolio that is well-positioned to meet the increasing needs of our customers and consumers who are demanding more circular and more sustainable products around the world. We address our disciplined plan to deliver value growth while achieving a zero carbon emissions future. We are uniquely positioned to continue to deliver value for our stakeholders. How? We might be local in Midland, but we have global scale. Our leadership in material science, technology, and chemistry, and our growth market alignment. Our solutions are targeting, as I mentioned, 4 verticals: packaging, infrastructure, consumer, and mobility sectors. Each of those have strong underlying growth drivers, such as sustainability, efficiency, connectivity, and they enable above GDP growth. We rolled out a plan to not only decarbonize the business, but to also grow it. That speaks to opportunity. As we work to capture these sustainable growth opportunities, our plan to decarbonize the assets is critical. It's a critical part of the journey. I shared with you Texas 9. It serves as a foundation of our carbon emissions reduction and growth. We have a multi-generation plan to convert Terneuzen in Netherlands, and we will leverage our learnings from Texas 9 as we partner with Shell on developing e-cracking capabilities together, in which we'll take Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta facility to net zero carbon emissions. Why is this important? Alberta will be the first industry net zero polyethylene plant. These 3 sites are critical to our carbon emissions reduction journey and our growth journey. So as I conclude, the Great Lakes Bay region is a binational region, as we heard from Mark a moment ago, comprised of 8 US states and 2 Canadian provinces, driving North American economy. Over 50% of the total US and Canadian trade comes through this region. This collaborative is key to ensure the prosperity and wellness of 107 million residents and 51 million jobs across many global industry sectors. And with the strategy I just laid out for you a moment ago for Dow, you can see that many of the Dow technologies cross over so many different industry sectors. We must work together in the Great Lakes region across sectors and borders to identify and implement low carbon, no carbon projects that will decarbonize the regional economy while strengthening its long-term economic success and competitiveness. The results of this collaborative will determine the legacy that you will leave for generations to come. This is our time to discover, to connect, and influence innovation and collaboration like never before. Thank you so much, Mark and Claude, for this opportunity to share Dow's strategy and our commitments with the collaborative.